for this roof here. You know, really low. Right, so there's the seats over there. Yeah, very spooky. So, this is for you. You've got your own one, yeah?
Yeah.
So, you can just look at the time on that, and then it's 5 minutes and 50 seconds, I think.
You can tell us what to play with it.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So, yeah, 5 minutes, 26 seconds. I have to go up to Mickey now, so I can't do this. So I'll let you record.
Yeah.
I'll blow the lights out, you can tell me the rest of it.
Yeah, you can play when you're ready.
How? The name of the man I met at the beginning. Crazy guy. He was like a Liberty's wizard or something. Like a conspiracy theorist. He was off his face, either on something or he was such a mentaler his brain just works like that now. He was about 60. Maybe younger, and drugs made him look older. Sunken eyeballs, gaunt face, carrying a mirror around with him. He took us on a tour of the Liberties, a people's tour, starting in Molyneux Yard. Thinking we were down there to rat him out, he soon came around to us after finding out we were students. He tried to show us the horses that he imagined he had access to, pulling at the black door to the horse stables. He told us about the city under the city, the catacombs, the crypts of the dead from the Black Plague, buried in lead coffins. We walked along Thomas Street towards the old city wall. He talked about the gentrification of the Liberties and the history that was being overwritten by corporations and the English. We crossed the road to Francis Street. Here you go, the richest man in Dublin right here. He shouted and laughed as we shook hands with a dirty man pushing a bike. You could tell he had money though by the way he laughed. We got to the old Dublin city wall. That was the end of the tour. We couldn't enter the crypts because we wouldn't make it over the wall. Shaking Howe's bloody hand was a part of the experience I could have done without. I wasn't particularly interested in exchanging bodily fluids with him. Snot and that crust he wiped away from the side of his mouth. We turned around, walking back. He told us to walk to the end of Francis Street, take a right, then a left, and hop the wall behind a bus stop. This was the wall separating the people from the truth about the Liberties. But before we could respond, he had already slipped through the back door of a bus. After following the directions that we got off the guy down the alley in the Liberties, we came up to a construction site where the wall was supposed to be. Walked past the school, up a set of stairs, and around the corner to an old church entrance. No signs or markers saying that it was there. Seen a builder working just inside the gate. He couldn't speak English. He pointed to the site manager. After talking to the site manager for a bit, he brought us down a set of steps just outside the church. Had to go hunchback to get through the entrance to the crypt. As soon as we got through the entrance, there was no natural light. Everything was lit by industrial equipment. I actually couldn't believe what it was like. You hear about it, but you never really think it's there. All this is right below you. You just never notice. He brought us up along dimly lit passageways, lined with old bricks in an arch just above your head. The passageways had like cavities every few meters, filled with random shite. Like, one was dead bodies, the next was fucking like tea and biscuits, you know what I mean? You couldn't tell how deep they were. They just fade into darkness. To see vents and pipes running along what was meant to be a conservation site is kind of sad. You might as well just fill it in. A lot of the stories from the crypts are mainly folklore of men eaten alive by rats and secret gay orgies in the 1800s. They were mainly used for markets and stuff when they weren't being used to bury priests and important people. Apparently people used to desecrate the graves in the crypts. Anyone who did died a horrible death, according to rumour. These crypts and tunnels went on to be used for underground activity, ironically. It was so illegal and frowned upon to be gay that this is where people would secretly meet. I heard of one guy who hung around the Liberty's crypts, claiming to be able to cure lesbians of their curse for a small fee. Not only was he making money off them, but he murdered and ate them also. Walking through the tunnels, I can see how this was the spot for all of that kind of stuff. All the walls and floors are identical and went on in all directions. No windows, no sense of direction, no sense of time. Like an ancient casino minus the machines. You could get lost in here so easily, even with a good sense of direction.